Welcome, everyone, to Stories Across the Table podcast. I'm your co host, Steve Romano, with my absolutely incredible co host, Bridget Cook-Burch. We're so excited to have you on today. But before we start, we've decided, and we've been doing this on our podcast, a little gratitude to just pump up that positivity. The gratitude today is you're awesome. Your dreams are worth fighting for. And audience, please do me a favor, fight for it. And have people around you, a support team, a tribe, a community, whatever you want to call it. They will help you fight for it as well. With that being said, Bridget, let's launch this podcast.
All right, let's do this. So I love that particular gratitude. You're awesome. Do you know so many people need to learn that about themselves? And we have a guest on today that has learned that and also turns around and just empowers other people through her story, through the work that she's done. I'm delighted to introduce you to Elaine Damschen. She's a speaker, a trainer, a knock your socks off businesswoman, and author of a book called Made in Vietnam, My Epic American Journey. And so we're just delighted to have you on, Elaine, today. And we have some important questions for you. And we're so excited to learn more about you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored.
Wonderful. All right, Steve, go right ahead.
Tell us the background of Vietnam. It's an interesting title of a book, but tell us how that started. Made in Vietnam, and now you're an American. Tell us how that all came about.
That's a big question.
Figured.
The short answer, excuse me, my mother's Vietnamese. I have an American father who was in Vietnam during the Vietnam War. And I learned that I was conceived in Vietnam, so made in Vietnam. And my mom was lucky enough, through an act of God, legally allowed to leave Vietnam while she was about 6 months pregnant with me into Spokane, Washington, so I could be born as a U.S. citizen.
Wow.
So that's the short story.
And for younger people that don't know about the Vietnam War, I'm 64. I know Bridget's, I think, 25, so I'm half kidding. Tell us because I know that trip was incredible and all the hoops you had to go through. Talk about that so the younger folk can understand for your mom to get across.
Oh gosh. I mean, anyone who was really involved with this miraculous endeavor is no longer living. So, from what I understand, my mom and dad went to an office in Vietnam. I don't know what office that would be. Filled out some paperwork while my dad was in the army. When he left Vietnam to finish his time in the army, my mom was left pregnant with me in Vietnam, and she continued with the paperwork. I'm guessing a civilian American uncle probably knew the right officials to help bribe to expedite the paperwork. But somehow she just got on an airplane by herself, left everything she knew, never saw her mother again, arrived into Spokane to live with an aunt and uncle until my birth, and my dad was able to get out of the army and join her.
Amazing.
And this Elaine was all a secret. You didn't know any of this growing up. You had two little sisters that you took great care of, but your parents didn't speak about the war in Vietnam. Your father never talked to you much about it. You didn't find out about some things until later. And then your book entails this extraordinary revelation. Without giving away the farm, would you share with us some of the greatest insights you received about yourself personally and about how passionate you are about this country because of your lived experience in business here, but also what it was like for you to discover the truth about yourself? and your family?
Oh, um, so my sisters and I were raised in the mountains of North Idaho. We spent a lot of time alone with a mother, as I said, who left everything she knew. My dad explained her erratic behavior, some emotional and mental abuse of my sisters and me. He explained it away to my mom feeling sad and missing her family and missing her country. And over the years of some of my mom's abuse and culture shock, I would explain it away even as a youngster. I kept wanting to move towards my mom and understand why does she behave this way. When I was 36, my parents invited me on a life-changing trip to Vietnam, and it had always been a dream of mine to meet my family and especially my grandfather. And so, of course, I super excitedly agreed and said, yes, let's go to Vietnam. We went to a hotel in the Chinatown of just outside of Saigon. It's called Cholon. And we stood outside of the hotel called the Don Con Hotel, where my parents unraveled some family secrets. Now, keep in mind, without giving away the farm, I had a lot of resentment and hatred towards my mother, but I kept working towards understanding her because I understood that I didn't want my children to feel that way about me and that there was something to be reconciled in that relationship. And standing outside that hotel, I realized A, my mom and dad's wedding anniversary was June of 69. I was born in August of 69. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's this whole story that exists before those dates. And they shared that I was conceived at that hotel and they'd spent some time there together. And just a really small piece without giving the farm again. My mother very vulnerably shared that she was sex trafficked by her own mother. She was taken to a bar at 18 years old and sold as a virgin to the highest bidder, which was someone else other than my father at that time. But that's how my parents actually met, and my dad fell in love with my mother. And so my world, this perception of my mom was just this hard Asian dragon mother who didn't know how to treat her children or love her children, really rocked my world. And suddenly my heart was broken open to understand my mom so that I could really, really love and appreciate her. And there were other family secrets that they'd actually shared, which then led up to me understanding really the miracle of my mom getting to the United States of America, and that their ultimate goal and my father's family's ultimate goal was to get me to the United States of America to be born as a U.S. citizen. And I am so grateful for that because my life would be very different. There was probably 50,000 Amerasian children left behind and lived on the streets in Vietnam because they weren't accepted by the American culture, or the American GIs didn't know that they had children that existed. And then the Vietnamese culture didn't accept Amerasians because they were the face of the enemy.
Bridget, go ahead.
I was just going to say, at that moment, I made the decision that my life and how I lived my life was going to be expression of gratitude for both my parents, God, and the United States of America.
Bridget, amazing story. Bridget, isn't it amazing how influential people in your stories and events make the difference? Like you said, you could have been left there. You probably wouldn't be talking to us today. Your life would have made a completely different turn. Amazing story. Oh my God, I get goosebumps.
Yeah.
Well, and Elaine, you made the most of every situation that you were given. I mean, you didn't know all of these things, but you set out um, to, be an educator, to raise kids, and then ended up working in your husband's business. And you brought that to a certain level that you're so proud of in the United States. Will you share a little bit about that and what you and your husband built? Because I think it's extraordinary.
Oh, yes. So, first, a little backstory is my dad was a framer and he worked so hard building homes in the Spokane, Coeur d'Alene area. And I watched over the years how weather beaten he was, you know, rain, snow, sunshine, and how tired he was. So mentally, when I was in high school, I thought, oh gosh, I'm never going to marry a contractor. I don't want to live that kind of life. And I say that with some humor because if we fast forward, my husband had joined the Air Force and he was in the Idaho Air National Guard for 10 years. I had a teaching degree, and my first pregnancy, we had twins. So we had twin boys. I taught half time that particular year the boys were born, and so I made $10,000 as a teacher. Todd came home when the boys were 6 months old, and he took my hands and he said, Elaine, I need to have a conversation with you. I am not fulfilled doing the work that I'm doing, and I've decided to become an electrician. I have to go back to school and work as an apprentice, and I'm going to make $6 an hour. So, and before I could panic, he just said, you need to trust me on this. This is for our future. So we began that journey. The very first year, we made $20,000, and we did not take one loan or any handouts from the government, which we're so proud of. And fast forward, Todd got his journeyman's license, and he decided we're going to start a business. The first 2 years, because I had told myself I'm not going to marry a contractor, I wanted absolutely nothing to do with the business, and I resisted it. And I watched him work from 5 a.m., answering calls, doing the books, coming late home from work, doing the books some more. And after a couple of years, he started having some neurological issues where his body would seize up, and we found out that he had multiple sclerosis. So a reconciliation moment that I had with myself was, okay, I can either A, continue down my righteous path of not joining him in the business because I told myself a story that I was not going to marry a contractor, or B, I'm a healthy woman, I've been a school teacher, and I can learn business. And so that's when I joined forces with him, and we started, we were 2 years in with Mainstream Electric.
My dad was a contractor. My dad was a contractor, Bridget, and for 50 years. And same thing, 12 hours a day, loved it. I didn't have that background you did, but he wanted to be a contractor. And I did not I built a deck one day and I said, nope. I'm like, you're from a different perspective. I didn't want to work 12 to 12. I did something different. So I can relate, Elaine. Go ahead, Bridget.
Well, and what you built from that 2 years is quite extraordinary. And now you're retired from that, and that's a journey all in itself. But you sold the company for a very good price. You and your husband are retired, and now what are you doing? Like, what is your great meaning that you're going to use all these stories to propel?
Great question. This month, actually, I'll be retired for 3 years. And so I, of course, have written and published Made in Vietnam. So I continue to do small speaking engagements and meet with book clubs. And that's been very satisfying to hear people of all ages, cultures, how they connect with my story. I have a children's book that's currently being illustrated. Do you want me to tell the title?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
It's called The Happy Home Heroes, and it's about Ella the electrician, Pete the plumber, and Harry the HVAC technician. Because ultimately, over 21 years, we became mainstream electric heating, cooling, and plumbing. And yeah, so proud of that. And actually, in the next week or two, I'm getting ready to launch a swimwear line. It's called Essence Swimwear.
Wow. So you're not retired. You're just retired from something else.
And now I'm telling myself this story like, what's my next? But I definitely have some good irons in the fire.
Oh, you definitely do. It'll be exciting for people to watch the next few years unfold with you. Um, yeah, it's been fantastic. And she says small speaking engagements. She's being humble. So Elaine has been on some very impressive stages, and I think she will continue to move in that direction. So that's beautiful.
Well, Bridget and Elaine, your story's very, I'm getting emotional a little bit, inspiring, because I didn't live through that, and to see it through your eyes. I want to do something special, Elaine. Audience, the first 5 people that reach out to me or Bridget or even Elaine, and you mention this podcast, I'm going to send you her book and her coloring book when it's, I believe it's not ready yet, right? You're still developing the coloring book. When it's ready, but you just got to mention the podcast. And if you can mention what you got out of it's not important. I want to send you the book because, Made in Vietnam. Say the name of the title again, because I'm going to mess it up.
Made in Vietnam, My Epic American Journey.
You get that in your hands, put on your coffee table, your bedstand, and read that. So make sure you reach out to us, and I'll do that.
You're going to love that story of transformation. She's quite humble right now in her storytelling, but I got to tell you, the book blows it wide open, and people who have read it have continued to be incredibly touched. So we're just delighted that you would come and share with us, Elaine. You're fantastic, and your journey's just beginning. It's going to be so exciting.
Yes, I'm just getting started.
Well, Elaine, there's a lot of retirees that listen to my other podcast. I've been following this one. Thank you for sharing that, because I know seniors that retire and really retire, meaning lay on the couch, the sofa, whatever, watch TV and don't do anything anymore, die much younger. I'm much more lonelier. So you've given us great incentive to keep going at 64. You got me going to my 84, 90, whatever it may be that I can do and we can do. So thank you for sharing that.
Yes, you're welcome.
I think it's beautiful. By the way, I'm living to 140. After
Wow.
I saw Tony Robbins at one point, and he's like, what do you picture yourself when you're older? Do you picture like a frail person, no bone density, you're struggling to walk? And he says, or do you picture this? And out came this strutting 70-year-old man who was a bodybuilder, and he knocked everyone's socks off. And I was like, wow, I had a different point of view. I had a different story, as you were saying, Elaine. I had a different story I was telling myself. And now I'm like, all right, if I'm going to live to 140, where am I going to serve? How am I going to make my body beautifully strong? How am I going to do these things? So I've recently gotten back on that path, and it'll be fun to see you, Steve, when you're 140, and Elaine when you're 140, and we're gonna keep on serving and loving this world and bringing more light into it. It's gonna be great.
And it's going to be real. No AI 140-year-olds. I promise that.
I agree.
Elaine, before we close, I'd love to get to know you a little bit better. I've got a fun question. Me and Bridget are going to come out to where you live, and you're going to pick your favorite restaurant. Well, I'm going to reserve a table. What I want you to do is I want you to invite 3 people, whether dead or alive, that have made difference in your life, influencer in your life. And the second part of that is, what food are you going to be ordering for the table?
So when you guys come to Coeur d'Alene, we're going to make reservations at Tony's on the Lake. It's a wonderful Italian restaurant, and they have a wonderful appetizer on their secret menu, and it's called pulled mozzarella. And it is the most wonderful mozzarella. It comes out on a plate. Looks like a piece of pizza, but it's mozzarella, and it's sprinkled in olive oil, and it's got roasted figs, garlic, and Greek olives, and it is delicious.
Sounds heavenly.
That's my favorite.
Holy mackerel.
I would invite first the Virgin Mary. My mom was very Catholic, and despite some medical setbacks that eventually took her life a few years ago, she had so much faith, and when I would go into her memory care, she was often had her hands in prayer to the Virgin Mary. So I would invite the Virgin Mary. The second person I would invite would be Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins, gosh, my husband and I for about 10 years attended his live events. I've walked on fire 3 times. Took his Business Mastery 1 and 2. He taught us that business is 80% psychology and 20% execution, and I would say it's because we embraced his studies and thinking that helped us exponentially grow our business, especially in the last few years, so that we could sell it. And I would invite him to thank him for the work that he does in our world. And the third person, I would like to invite Mother Teresa.
I'm a
Very
big fan too.
Yes, Mother Teresa, humble, a servant, very wise.
Yeah, gave
That would
her
be
heart
so
for no
interesting
reason.
to have the mother of Jesus, Tony Robbins, Mother Teresa, and the 3 of us at a table. We would have quite a conversation.
Well, I
Yes,
love
we
that
would.
question, Elaine. You nailed it. Nobody said the Virgin Mary. Asked about 500 people, a guest, and that's a really good one. And it's apropos because Easter's coming, so it's really apropos with all that.
Yeah.
People are listening to this, like me, like Bridget, probably are so excited. One, how can they get the book? Give us the name of the book, and how can they connect with you, maybe for a speaking gig?
Thank you. Made in Vietnam, Made in Vietnam, My Epic American Journey is available on Amazon or Barnes & Noble online. And if people want to get in touch with me, I'm on Facebook. I have a personal and an author page, Elaine Damschen, as well as Instagram. And then I'm on LinkedIn as well. Yep. And they can message
Perfect.
through those
Perfect.
channels.
Bridget, last words before we close it out.
Yes. I just want to say, Elaine, I think that you are such a pinnacle of empowerment for other Amerasians. And what I find so striking about you is the gratitude from which you live every aspect of your life. And sometimes with all the crazy things that are going on in the world, there's so much that we can tear down, so much that we can be upset about, so much that we can, fight against or be frustrated about. And what I love about your story and about your passion is how you have utilized all the gifts of the United States, and you also have embraced the opportunities that have come, and you turn around and serve other people with it. And to me, that's the making of an incredible servant. And I just want to thank you for being on here, because I think I today, for one, am very inspired, and I want to continue to move forward in that direction. Thank you for the gift you are.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Elaine, thanks you again for taking the time being on the great podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Stories Across the Table. Get more of these incredible stories. And me, Elaine, and Bridget want to thank all of you for watching or listening to this podcast. And we'll see you all in the next episode of Stories Across the Table. Have a wonderful day, everyone.